La SAP Insights descoperi cele mai noi trenduri și subiecte de actualitate. Dezbatem alături de Cezar, Alina și Andra gazdele tale săptămânale și te surprindem cu invitați speciali care îți oferă porția necesară de inspirație. Nu rata nicio ediție SAP Insights în fiecare miercuri de la ora 17 doar la SAP Radio.
SAP Radio.
Bună ziua, dragi ascultători, și bine ați venit la o nouă ediție SAP Insights. Astăzi avem din postura de invitat un om pasionat de date, de productivitate și de optimizarea proceselor, atât în viața profesională, cât și în cea personală. Sacha Kasper ne va împărtăși din experiența sa despre cum putem crea procese mai eficiente și mai sănătoase în organizațiile noastre, cum putem aplica principiile agile nu doar în business, ci și în viața de zi cu zi și, foarte important, cum putem combate procrastinarea, o provocare tocmai prezentă în ritmul actual al societății. Deoarece Sacha este originar din Austria, vom continua emisiunea în limba engleză pentru a ne bucura așa pe deplin de insight-urile sale, așadar let's switch it to English and welcome our guest, Sacha Kasper. Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate the English version. I mean, I do understand Romanian, kind of, but you don't want to hear me speak.
Before we dive into today's topics, could you tell us a little bit more about your background and what brought you into the world of productivity and organizational improvement?
Yes, I certainly can. I mean, background, as far as it could be interesting. Like you said, I'm initially from Austria, born and raised, but then I moved to Romania, to Brașov to be more precise, in I think 2011 already. Still not speaking Romanian, that's embarrassing. What brought me to productivity? Well, first of all, personal need, right? There was a lot of work that I had to do, and I've tried to find ways to do it faster and better. And then it turned out that I'm not the only one with this problem, but other people are facing similar challenges. So I thought about how teams can work better, and then how organizations can work better. And somehow, this kind of stuck with me. And I got so obsessed that I even turned it into a hobby, which sounds weird, probably.
You talk a lot about making organizations work better. What do you think are the most common mistakes companies make when setting up their internal process?
I think by far, maybe not the most common, but very common, but the most damaging thing is micromanaging people and not trusting them to do what they need to do. See, the thing is, when you build an organization, obviously you want to hire people and get people on board who know what they need to do and how to do certain things. If they don't, you probably shouldn't hire them. And if you do hire them and they do have the knowledge, then you should let them work. So the idea is that you find people who know what they need to do and how to do it, and then you trust them to actually do it, and you don't interfere.
Can we also talk about some, let's say, practical steps companies can take to build healthier and more efficient workflows from your perspective?
Yes, certainly. The way I would start, I mean, it depends. If you have a new organization, it's easier, right? Because you can design everything on the whiteboard, basically. You can build it the way you want. But that's a luxury not many organizations have. Usually you already have something in place, which is probably not ideal. So my recommendation is always to look at these things that you're doing and how you're doing them, and remove whatever you can. So cut off every step in a process that you don't really need, right? And you do this once, and then when you think you are done and your process is as lean or as short as it can possibly be, you do it again, because you will still find stuff there which you don't really need, without sacrificing the quality of the outcome.
Cool.
From your experience, what role does company culture play in making these processes work?
As in every other area, culture plays a significant role. Is one of my favorite quotes actually from Peter Drucker, which not many of the listeners will probably remember because it's a long time ago, but he was kind of a guru in this whole management area, and he said that culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? So you can have the best strategy, the greatest plans, if you don't have the people to do it, to implement it, and if you don't have the culture to allow it and to nourish these people, it's just not going to happen. On the other hand, if you have good culture, really nice culture, where people are there for each other, where they have each other's backs, where they also understand why they are doing things together and to what end, then strategy suddenly becomes secondary.
And how do you know you find the right people for the right role?
Yeah, initially you don't know. There is no secret recipe, right? It's not like you can go out there and say, you look like a cultural fit, I'm going to take you. No, it's a bit of trial and error, especially in the beginning, but after some time, and it don't even take that long, when you have a few people on board in your team, in your organization that actually do fit, then you will see that these people attract others that are similar. Mm-hmm. And you will also see that when you start discussing with candidates or hiring people, that there is a certain undercurrent in these discussions. And you simply get an idea whether this could be a fit or not. Mm-hmm. So we are recruiting, of course, right, at 3SS. And I'm currently involved in 2 positions myself. And there are a lot of great candidates out there. Excellent profiles and really nice in discussions and technically capable and everything. But with some of them, you just feel better in the discussion. It's just, you get a kind of feeling for them. You talk to them once, twice, 3 times. And then eventually you have the famous gut feeling, right?
I'm pretty curious because I had an advertising agency, and I used to say that it took me 3 years to build a team. Although I had some team members, but we weren't a team. From your perspective, how long is the process to really create a strong team?
Again, there's probably not a single answer that is correct, like a single number. It depends very much, first of all, on the team size. Second, whether you're really creating the team or have to build a team from scratch with a lot of people you have not known before. Or if you have at least some sort of core, even if it's just 1 or 2 people. Take a startup, for example. Usually it's 1 or 2 people who have an idea, they set up a startup, and then they need to bring more people on board. And if you have this core already, then it's of course a bit faster. But every single team goes through different phases, right? Where you just get to know each other, then you start fighting, in quotes. So you disagree, you try to find out how you can work together, there's a lot of friction. And then of course it might be that you lose some people on the way, but those that stay and go through this friction phase, they are going to realize that together they can achieve more, they can work better. They actually can combine their different skills and strengths in order to really become a high-performing team. And that's completely normal. I mean, 3 years is probably long in general, but I don't think that this can be done in anything less than a few months normally. So it really depends a bit, but under a few months, I don't think you can really establish an actual team.
Dacă ești un manager organizațional, ar trebui să ne asculti acum, pentru că cel mai bune sfaturi vin de la Sacha Kasper astăzi la SAP Insights. Luăm prima pauză în cadrul emisiunii de astăzi. Rămâneți alături de noi. Urmează și Cristina Boroș, vorbim și despre Limitless, multe sfaturi încă de la Sacha și desigur muzică bună. Ne întoarcem în câteva momente.
listening to Sap Radio. Sap Radio.
If you told me I'm the only one you're thinking of, you could hold me, I would tell you there's nobody else. I want you and no one else. You make me feel like I can't hold it down. Whenever you're around, you make me feel like brighter than the moon, shining just for you. You got me, baby. Won't ever deny.
are listening to Sap Radio.
Nothing but hits.
This is hit music.
Spin my hood round.
Și ne-am întors la Sap Insights, Cezar la microfon alături de colega Alina, invitatul nostru Sacha Kasper și desigur Cristina Boroș, care a facilitat prezența invitatului nostru și o salut cu această ocazie.
Bine v-am găsit.
Vorbim și despre Limitless.
Cu siguranță.
Neapărat. Sasha, I met you several times at the university talking about pretty cool concepts. For example, like agile, which is a term that we hear it a lot in the business world, but for those unfamiliar with it, how would you define agile in simple terms?
It's the ability to react to a changing environment quickly and easily. Right? So, and this works for people, individuals, as well as for organizations. Obviously, the bigger you are, the more difficult it is. So it's easier to do it for myself than for a company with 300 people or 3,000 people, but the principle is still the same.
And the origin of the concept, can we explain it?
Yes, I mean, there is something called the Agile Manifesto, right? And it goes back to a group of software developers in the 1990s. Until then, software projects were always executed following something that we call now the waterfall process. The idea was that everything had to be done in a certain phase before you could proceed to the next phase. So, if we're talking about software, for example, all the requirements have to be defined. Then you start designing everything. And only when this is done, then you start working and coding. And only when all the coding is done, you start testing, etc. So it was very cumbersome and slow, especially if we are talking about bigger software that needed to be developed. And one of the many drawbacks was that problems were often found very late in the process, and then everything had to go back to the beginning that was affected by this problem. So these software developers simply had enough of this and said that's no way to work, and came up with this Agile Manifesto. And some of the core ideas or core principles there are that working software is the most important thing. It doesn't matter if you have great documentation. I mean, it's not true. It matters. But it is much more important to have working software than perfect documentation. And it's much more important to have a collaborative environment and a partnership with your customer than having extremely well-defined contracts that protect you just in case something goes wrong. So it's not that these people dismissed these items. They just say it's more important to have something like working software than perfect documentation and collaboration over contracts, etc. And from this came what many people probably know as Scrum, the first widely known agile approach that is also used in teams and companies even today. And after Scrum, there were various variations, I would say, of doing agile software development or agile project management. And one of them is called the Scaled Agile Framework, which is the one that we are using at 3SS as well. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter which one you pick. Right? Like with so many other things, I'm not here to give a recommendation for one of those things. I'm just saying working in an agile way in general makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
And what are the biggest advantages for an organization that embraces agile principles?
Well, probably three. First, you will be faster in delivering something to your customer. Second, you will get feedback from your customer much faster. And third, the overall quality of what you're delivering is going to improve. Actually, I think I will have to add a fourth one, because a nice effect of doing this properly is that the people working on the project tend to feel better because of all these things, right? Because it's nice if you know what you're doing and you see the feedback and you know it's providing value and you see it like within weeks rather than months. So you feel better. And you also feel better if you see that maybe there was a bug in the software, but you get the feedback immediately and you can fix it without a lot of effort.
So you feel more productive.
Exactly. You feel productive, you get confirmation of your work, right? Whether it's a bug or whether it's praise, doesn't matter, but you get it immediately. And this simply is nice for people.
Nice.
I've seen that many people think Agile is only for software development. Can it be applied to other industries as well? If so, how?
Certainly. I mean, the principle remains the same. It doesn't really matter if you do software or something else. I wouldn't say that you can apply it one-to-one to everything, right? So, for example, building a house has to follow certain steps. No, you need a foundation, then you can build walls, then you can do the windows and the roof and whatever else. I'm not a house builder, I don't know. But there it's a bit difficult. You cannot simply go and say, let's build a house in an agile approach. That's more difficult. But in many other areas and products, you certainly can, yes. Because one of the core concepts in working in an agile way is that you work in iterations. So the idea that you don't have to build something and at the end it's complete and ready and perfect. But rather, you start building something, you do a version. Very often it's called a minimum viable product, right? So basically a minimum version of the final product or final thing that you want to build. And then you get feedback and you see immediately whether you're going in the right direction. And if it's not, then you can still adapt quite easily. And I think this also works in other industries.
So, as I see by now, the agile principles are used as a framework, basically. But can we actually use agile principles in personal life?
Yes, it's actually very funny because I have this little hobbit in my mind sometimes, where I'm thinking whether the things that I'm doing myself would better be done in an agile way. And basically, my conclusion is that if you're working alone on something that requires multiple steps, then agile is probably not the best solution. Let me give you a very simple example, putting your shoes on, right? So the agile approach would be, I take my shoe, I close it, and once my left shoe is done and closed, I start with the right one, right? Because that's the process, the iteration. But personally, I would never do that. Personally, I just slip into one shoe, then I slip in the other shoe, then I tie up the one shoe and then tie up the other one. So if you're working alone, doesn't work. But also in private life, if you're working together with somebody else, then it's usually better to do it in an iterative, in an agile way.
Do you have any, let's say, personal habits or routines that follow agile principles?
How much time do you have?
Enough for you. At least 3. I don't know.
So, yes, I do. I mean, it's especially for the things where I'm. Where do I start? I'm almost embarrassed, but as a hobby, I am kind of a content creator, right? So I create videos for YouTube and I create downloadable things for people who are interested in the topics I'm talking about, like productivity, etc. And everything I do there, I do in an agile approach. So once again, I work in iterations. I create a version of something very fast, very simple, with the pure basics. And then when I see how it is, I say, that's not a great idea. Let's get rid of this part and let's try something else. And I go through multiple iterations until I reach my end product.
But you work by yourself for these products?
Yes, in this case, that's one of the exceptions where it actually works also when you do it alone, yes. Because it's a more complex scenario, right? Mm-hmm. Putting your shoes on is fairly simple. But in a more complex topic, like creating, for example, a video which involves, like, first find a title, find the perfect thumbnail or design the thumbnail, write the script, record the A roll, record the B roll, start editing, add zooms and effects, add labels, and it's a lot of stuff, and this simply works better in an agile way.
Because Christina is with us, are you familiar with this concept, and if you have some personal habits as well regarding agile?
I'm not familiar with the editing and the content creation at all, but I'm willing to learn. And as far for agile is concerned, yes, definitely. We are all familiar in some manner or on some level in 3SS. We all use it. In HR, we tried, but we cannot go full scale because it just doesn't work like that. But it is a field with, I would say, life lessons that you can use, as Sasha said, in personal life, in colleagues, in playing, in whatever you need. It's just something that you can use.
And because you are both involved in organizing Limitless, how you apply it in organizing the event?
It's the same thing. There again, it makes a lot of sense because we're a team, right? It's not just Christine and me. In fact, I think we're not even the main people, to be completely honest. So this is obviously run by Iboya, our colleague. and a lot of other people who volunteer to help with this. And organizing all these people together works best in this agile, in this iterative way, whether it is about social media campaigns or it is designing posters or whatever else we need to do. It's always in the same approach. And I also want to clarify a bit. It's not like we say, okay, we need a new social media campaign and say, okay, what does agile say? What do we need to do first? This is not how it runs anymore. For us, it's already so ingrained in the way that we think and work together. We do not need a checklist or a guidebook or something like this. And also, maybe we sometimes skip a step and do something differently than it is in the book, which again is completely fine. It's even recommended if you really want to be agile. The basic idea is that you take the principles and then you adapt them to fit your personal or organizational needs in the best possible way. And that's the beauty of it. It's not written in stone. You can customize, you can adapt, and you should in order to make it work.
And if someone wants to apply agile in their daily life, what's the first thing that they need to do first? I think I said first. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
The first thing they need to do is probably find out what it is actually that they want to achieve, right? Because if you say use it in personal life is obviously complex, right? There are many different things in there. And I would suggest to first find something, one topic, one area where you want to apply this, and then try it there. Again, a core concept, right? Start small, see how it works out, and then if you figure out how it works best for you, then you can apply it to other areas. Which area this is depends very much on the person.
Mai luăm încă o pauză la Sap Insights, mai ales că am venit cu două piese Shazam Uit în weekend. Una e Big Pig, 4 AM, iar a doua este LF System, Afraid to Feel. Ne întoarcem cu aceeași energie bună în studiourile Sap Radio în câteva minuțele.
This is Sap Radio.
What you know is real.
listening to Sap Radio. Sap Radio.
Știrile zilei într-o manieră pozitivă, de luni până vineri la fix de la 9 la 14 cu Alina Pașc, doar la Sap Radio.
Ne-am întors în studio alături de Cezar, Alina, Cristina Boroș, invitata noastră și desigur Sacha Kasper. And we'll switch it to another topic. I love to hear Sacha talking about. In today's world, do you think everyone struggles with procrastination at some level? And why do we procrastinate?
So I don't know everyone, but I would be willing to
A
bet
big
quite a
percentage.
lot of money.
99%.
Pretty much everybody struggles in one way or the other with procrastination, yes. Which, again, in general is not a bad thing. It just gets bad when it's too much, right? So when you over-procrastinate, basically. And your question was what we can do against it?
Yes, and which are the main causes of procrastinating?
So maybe we start with the main cause. So by far the most common reason for people to procrastinate is a fear of failure, right? So the idea behind it is, in very short words, I'd rather do nothing than risk doing something which is not good enough. And the crazy thing about it is that in most cases, this not good enough is not even related to other people's views and expectations, but to my own. So normally, I'm my own biggest critic, right? Or people are their own biggest critics. And therefore, they have very high standards. And if they are even a bit afraid that they would not meet these standards, then they tend to procrastinate. So that's by far the most common reason. What we can do against it is, depending on what we are facing, again, trying to break things down. So instead of having one huge task in front of us or one huge venture that we need to complete, break it down. I also tell my kids, they said, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is, of course, bite by bite. So you cannot swallow it at once. You have to cut it down into smaller pieces. And the same is true with work. Our older son is currently at school and he has a lot of homework, of course, and needs to practice, and he doesn't love it, surprisingly. But we also do the same. We break it down. If he knows he has to do, 30 problems in mathematics, whatever, in the next week, then we say, okay, let's do 5 every day, and we're totally fine. And this helps, right?
That's a really nice perspective. And from your perspective, has technology helped or worsened our tendency to procrastinate?
On balance, overall, I'm afraid it made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because it's so much easier to use new technology to procrastinate compared to using it to be more productive. And that's also one of my personal drivers, right? To make people see that it's not so hard to be more productive, especially with new technology, but it's hard to compete against social media, doom scrolling, right? Or binge watching on Netflix or HBO or whatever your poison is. It's difficult because, you can simply sit and watch 7 episodes of your latest series and suddenly it's 2 a.m. and you go to sleep feeling not very satisfied, maybe even having a bad conscience because you wasted so much time, and waking up the next day very tired, which is not great for being productive. On the other hand, if you use technology to do something, instead of doom scrolling, for example, you could use a learning app on your phone. So if you spend 15, 20 minutes learning something instead of 30 minutes scrolling through TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, you simply feel better. And you also learn something. You get better, right? So overall, it made it worse, I think.
How do you fight personally against procrastination, and what strategies would you recommend to others, especially to our listeners?
I think the answer has to be the same for both questions, because things that work well for me, I would also recommend to others. If they really work for them, is something they need to figure out. But my approach is to focus on the things that I can control. So if I need to do a lot of things, and currently, incidentally, I am very busy because we have multiple big projects running and some recruiting processes in parallel, and also some IT things. But overall, I am very busy at the moment, which is not great, but it's possible. On the other hand, I see that because of all these things that I currently need to do, my system is actually working, right? Which is nice, because obviously I have a system. And as long as there's not too much work, it's easy. Every system can work, right? It's like sailing on a calm sea. Everybody can do it. But when the storm comes, then you see the difference. And in my case, I have this storm right now. The system is working. And the core element of the system is to focus on the things that I can control. Second step would be to delegate whatever is possible.
Radio.